Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we have a 303 XRP. The market's kind of flat right now. Ray Dalio says gold and non-fiat currencies will strengthen as U.S. debt surges per CNBC, so lock in. Look at this, semi-shot, one of the ETF guys, Rex XRP ETF, XRPP is already at 24 million in volume. That is way more than I would have thought. For context, it's 5 times more than the XRP futures ETFs did in one day, and it's only been 90 minutes. Then this was at 11:09 a.m. yesterday. Then at 5:48 p.m. he says XRPR traded 37.7 million in day one, which edges out odds for the biggest day one natural dollar volume on any 2025 launch. DOGE is no slouch at 17 out of 710 launches. Good sign for the onslaught of 33 Act ETFs coming soon. We told you it was going to happen. And then Wolf of Wall Street's Rex Osprey ETF hit 37.7 million. Highest natural day one volume of any 2025 ETF launch. XRP setting records, folks. And then today we get Grayscale. Grayscale's digital large cap fund is now Grayscale CoinDesk Crypto 5 ETF, and it's launching tomorrow, which is today. Bank XRP had tweeted this out yesterday. That one's going to contain 5 different digital assets. Stuart Alradi says important development. New listing standards bring crypto ETFs further into the mainstream markets. Regulatory clarity isn't just good policy. It builds confidence for Americans. And then there's this. Chad Steingraber. Kraken just turned up with direct USD to XRP. 18.16 million just flooded in. Folks, this is part, I've told you 1,000 times. This market has been rigged for Bitcoin, Ethereum for the last decade. One of the ways we've talked about the ways they've rigged it, but one of the main ways they rigged it, I'll never forget when I first came into crypto and discovered Ripple. In order to buy XRP, you had all the pairings were with Bitcoin. So you had to go from US dollar into Bitcoin, and then you had to send the Bitcoin and wait for confirmations, which could take up to an hour, and they did back then. You would have to wait for the confirmations to get the Bitcoin to another exchange, which was very, gray area whether you could trust all the other exchanges, and then buy XRP with the Bitcoin pair. That lasted for a long time. But even to this day, the main pairings have been Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether. This is part of how they rigged the market for the Bitcoin and Ethereum to get the most liquidity. It's in your face. It's been that way for a long time, and it's part of the that's part of the reason that I realized there was something going on when we first started uncovering ETHgate, because I had watched the markets be rigged in their favor. I watched Coinbase. If you remember, back then before Ripple was sued, I remember looking at it going, why are all the tokens Bitcoin and Ethereum based tokens back during the ICO time? This thing was a rigged game, folks, in many, many ways. Regulatory monopoly for those two. It was a rigged game. That rigged game is about over. You're about to have that level playing field finally. You're kind of in the midst of it, but once we get regulation, it's game over. You have not seen a real market yet, but it's coming. Here's Brian Armstrong, and he's one of the symptoms of what we've all been through anyway. You'll notice in this clip, Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's all he mentions. He's been one of the cogs in the wheel all these years.
I'm here in Washington, D.C. again, fighting for your rights to try to get some market structure legislation passed for crypto. This would be foundational, just like we did for stablecoins a few months ago with the Genius Act. Market structure legislation protects all the other non-stablecoin crypto assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The Senate is strongly supportive of getting this done. The members that I met with on both sides of the aisle are ready to get this legislation passed, and there's draft text now being exchanged back and forth and with the industry for comment, which is great. We saw a lot of alignment today. Now, of course, this hasn't stopped the big banks from trying to throw a wrench into things, and they're trying to ban rewards on stablecoins. The members of the Senate who I spoke to, they're not going to let that happen. That was already litigated and decided in the Genius Act for stablecoins. They're not going to bring it up again. But barring these little details here and there, I think this thing has a good chance of getting done. I've actually never been more bullish on market structure getting passed.
It's going to get done because it's national security.
It's a freight train.
But you're going to see a lot of drama in the meantime. They're going to make you think, oh, no, it might not happen.
Leaving the station. So we're going to keep showing up and fighting for your rights. You can do a lot to help by going to standwithcrypto.org and contacting your representatives. Let them know that you want to see market structure legislation passed for crypto.
Okay. Now, listen to this, folks. I think all bets are off on all this cycle talk, but I think these guys are right about how this is going to happen.
Now, how early or late are we in this cycle? Well, you can see that this is the normal cycle, the dotted black line. The low point is the trough of the cycle, and the red line is where we are now. So this looks late. We've got to accept that. It doesn't mean it's about to end, but we've got to know we're nearer the end than we are at the beginning, and that's clearly an important factor.
When do you think it finishes, by the way? Normally would have finished sometime this end of this year, but it feels like it's going to push out into Q2 next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost exactly where, if I go back to looking at this cycle, that's where we would sort of suggest it's probably going to inflect sometime around about early 2026.
Now, there you go. I think from now to 2026 is going to be glorious. Period. Okay. Let me tell you what, folks. I'm 51 years old, and if I've learned anything, karma is real, and karma will come back around on you. And in Gary Gensler's case, there's nobody more deserving of karma than this guy. He's getting it even from his CNBC buddies. This guy permanently ruined his reputation, in my opinion. Not that it was that great beforehand. He had a chance. I remember before he came in, we all thought, because he was taught blockchain at MIT, he was going to be great for this. But unfortunately for crypto, Gary Gensler, we all forgot that Gary Gensler is nothing but a tool of politicians. He's nothing but a toady for the Elizabeth Warrens of the world. And now the entire world knows it, and they should know it.
They are reversing a lot of what you did. And how are you feeling about what they're doing now?
So I'm very proud of what we accomplished.
And the crypto community is ecstatic not to have you there anymore, and to have him there. Looking back on it, I mean, do you think that was the right call?
Yes. I think
because look, now we have this like burgeoning industry, and there's so much more innovation and leadership in the U.S.
and a lot more
crypto.
capital coming into it.
There may be more capital in terms of the interest in the public. The public is interested. I get that, but for investors,
you think this is dangerous? What they're doing?
Put aside Bitcoin. But most of the other tokens are not tied to any fundamentals. Like Warren Buffett would say, what are the goods? What are the revenues? What are they selling? And
what are the fundamentals of Bitcoin other than finding new buyers? I mean, the exact opposite of what he just said is true. Okay, then we got this. This is interesting. Charles Hoskinson yesterday, behind the scenes plans for XRP and RLUSD. Charles Hoskinson is on Team Ripple now. I've always thought ADA and XRP were going to both be huge.
So we've had a few calls with Real USD team. We've talked to Flair. We've talked to John Deep. We've talked to Brad. We've definitely had discussions with a variety of people from the XRP ecosystem. And we want to build a package for XRP. So what that means is that Lace will support XRP as one of the cryptocurrency support. We have a DeFi layer for XRP that uses Midnight Cardano. So it's very easy to use XRP smart contracts, deploy XRP applications without requiring foundational changes to XRP's design. And then certain XRP projects like Flare and Wheel, we'd like to find a path to get them into the current system. So with the real USD, we talked to them starting last year, right when they announced. They said, look, we just got out. We just got our bid license. It's been a long road. There's a lot going on. We'll come back in a little bit and talk more deeply. And now we're on the other side of it. And I think there's definitely a path to have that conversation. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have JJ kind of negotiate that out. The other thing that Real USD was very interested in for obvious reasons is where Genius was going to go, because that would have a huge impact on the overall landscape of stablecoins in general. The reason being is that can you offer a yielder through stablecoin? And the answer is currently no from the Genius side. So that had to get passed, and now that that's passed, they're starting to think about their longer-term commercialization plans. What we've advocated for with Real USD is for XRP, for Ripple to push for a self-serve listing model, like Coinbase has with Rosetta. So they basically create a framework, and then if the ecosystem is interested in supporting Real USD, basically what they do is they certify against that standard, and they do all the implementation work. And as long as that work is done correctly, then they get preferential consideration for where Real USD gets deployed. That is sensible because after Ethereum and whatever, you have to kind of think, okay, well, what's next? And there's 14,000 options, and they don't really want to be in the business of picking winners and losers. It's a lot. You want to go where the demand is, the desire is, and you also want to have a lot of moving pieces for you want to remove a lot of the moving pieces from the integration complexity. And the XRP team is by far not an expert in Cardano architecture. Why would they be? We're very bespoke and exotic. And similarly, we're not experts in XRP architecture. So you need an open standard that basically help them sort that out. And then if the ecosystem is interested, we have to make the first move. We make that first move, and then after doing it, we enter commercial negotiations to figure out things.
All right, some of that was hard to hear. That's the volume on that video, not mine. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. A lot more. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these YouTube videos. If you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell your friends and family. Away we go.